welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta, and
I'm Connie, and we are two crazy cousins just talking about how to deal when shit gets real. And today we are talking about supportive friendships since we left off with supportive family.
Oh,
sorry.
Are
you okay? Rietta was having way too much fun.
It's party. Yeah, so like Connie said, supportive friendships, because we figured it goes hand in hand. We talked about family, so now we talk about our lovely friends.
And maybe your friends are supportive, and maybe it's time to rethink some friendships. You know, it goes both ways. Same with family. Sometimes you're supportive, sometimes not so much.
Or they think they're supportive, but they're really just being judgmental hoots.
Like us? I'm just kidding.
Like us. But that's why we're here. And that's why people listen to us. So we think.
Because, yeah, exactly. We only think. Anyway,
so our first, I guess, topic or portion, I should say, is being supportive even if you don't necessarily agree with the choices your friends might be making, kind of letting them make their own mistakes / learn their own lessons, however you want to think about it.
And I have seen this, and I've done it a lot of times, and I think me and Rietta both agree that you're towing a line, because you can believe somebody's making a huge mistake. You can tell them that, and you can tell them that you're also being like supportive. Like, I don't agree with this, but I support you anyway. And other times you'll just listen and just be an ear that you're just listening to your friends because you don't agree with it. You don't want to say anything positive, and you don't want to say anything negative because that'll make it worse.
Yes, and sometimes just listening is, at least I know for me, especially, sometimes you just need to get it off your chest, and you just need somebody to listen. And sometimes even just for me, just saying it out loud, when you hear it yourself, you're like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of dumb. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
Oh, I do that all the time. When I think about budgeting, or if I'm thinking about like budgeting like for a vacation or something, or I have an idea, I definitely talk it through to Tom like a couple of times. I'm surprised he's not more annoyed with it, so that I can decide whether it's a good idea or not. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he'll say stuff and sometimes he won't.
This is why you talk to yourself also, because when you talk to yourself, you get all the answers you want to hear.
I swear to God, though, our whole family talks to themselves. It's like, what? Huh? Why are you talking to yourself?
I legitimately asked my therapist, because I've been wanting to know all these years. I literally asked her like a few weeks ago. I was like, is it normal for me to talk to myself? And she's like, well, are you talking to yourself just in general, or like are you legitimately hearing voices? And I was like, no, there's no voices.
I'm not crazy, I swear.
No, so it's normal to talk to yourself, according to my therapist.
It's how we work out our problems.
Right? I told you, I give myself the best answers. I mean,
pretty much. And sometimes, and I think Tom believes this as well, that I am just talking to him and he doesn't really even have to say anything. Like, I'm just talking to work it out myself. And if he has an opinion, he says it. But a lot of times he's like, I don't even need to talk. I count to my head it till 3 and you don't shut up. So I just let you continue to talk. And that is a direct quote, my friends.
Oh, there you go. See, and sometimes people can just pretend to listen to you, and that's enough.
Exactly.
So that's our first lesson. Even if you don't want to, you could just pretend to listen, and sometimes it's enough. But there are certain situations where you should listen, so don't be rude.
Do you have any like friends who you saw, they're making a super bad decision, and did you say anything? Were you more like supportive? How did you handle the situation? Is there a situation? Lord only knows.
I think, in my opinion, it depends on the person. Because, we all have different personalities, and I have one friend that I could literally tell her anything, and she wouldn't bat an eye or take it offensively or any of those things. I could just, we have a very candid, open relationship. And then I have other friends that there are certain topics.
What you say.
Yeah, there are absolutely certain topics that you just don't even cover. So I guess that's where the listening and just going, plays in. And then there's the ones that you can actually be like, hey, I'm not sure that's such a great idea, but you do you. I got your back no matter what. I just don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I was telling Rihanna earlier that I had a friend who in high school was dating a dude, and she took several buses to go and meet up with a guy when she was 16. And she knew I didn't approve of her sneaking around like that. Like, I thought she should be more open with her parents, telling them, like, hey, I wanted to date this guy, because they didn't really want her to date. Anyway, so she didn't tell me. She told me on the way there when she got lost on the bus, and there was literally nothing I could do for her, because you're already, I mean, I was 16 at the time. I definitely didn't have a car. I'm like, there's really nothing I can do. So, I mean, I thought she was crazy. I told her so. And that's why she didn't call me, because she knew I was going to be candid with her, that I was going to say, are you nuts? You're 16. You shouldn't be taking buses to unknown areas ever.
Yeah, by yourself.
Yes, by yourself. And you don't know the area. You don't know the bus system. Like, this plan is not very thought out, and she knows that. That's exactly what I would have said. But she did it anyway, because that's what she wanted to do. And that's also why she did not tell me.
And she also learned from her mistake, hopefully.
Well, I don't really remember if she did or not. I don't think she ever had to be in that situation after she started driving. Because then you're just using your GPS and you're driving wherever, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Which kind of plays perfectly into the next kind of topic we were going to hit, of how, obviously, if your friend is in a dangerous situation or an unhealthy blah, blah, blah. Let me try that again. In a dangerous situation or unhealthy situation, then you need to intervene no matter what, even if it's going to hurt their feelings.
For sure. I really haven't had to deal with like danger/unhealthy situations, but it was mainly more of situations, and this actually goes back to our first episode, where it was more helping somebody get through depression and a family death. I was like, let me come over. I'll bring some snacks. You know, we can hang out. We'll talk about anything else besides what you're going through, because you're already overthinking what's going on and happening, and just being there and thinking, getting your mind off of the recent death will help more than talking it out, because it was just too fresh.
Absolutely. And I actually have a fairly good example that I'll probably go into more detail later, because it's kind of a sensitive topic for some people out there. But there was a situation that I was put in, and another girl, a friend of mine, when we were young, we were 14 or 15 years old, by an older gentleman. And I, of course, got the police involved. I didn't even think about it. It was one of those situations where I went home and Mom, Dad, XYZ happened, and the police were called, and it was handled. But she was mad at me because I included her in it. This is what happened. My parents didn't bat an eye. The organization didn't bat an eye. He was fired. All of it was taken care of. But she was mad at me for a really, really long time. There was no way that I was not going to say anything, because that was not okay. It was not okay by any stretch.
Well, good on you for knowing that, because when you're young, you don't necessarily think, oh shit, that was a bad situation. Like, after you're out of it or whatever, or even maybe even in the middle of it, you don't necessarily think, oh wait, no, that's not right.
I think it helped because my mom put me in self-defense and martial arts really early, so that I kind of learned how to identify situations like that pretty young. So that was really fortunate. And I mean, some things you just know, you're like, this is just not okay. And it wasn't okay. And I had to deal with the fact of what happened in the situation and her being mad at me, but she did eventually get over it.
Well, at least she got over it. That's good.
It's still hard though, it makes it harder. And then of course you second guess yourself, like, well, did I really do the right thing? But you have to remind yourself that you did. And one day, maybe a week from now, maybe 2 months from now, maybe 3 years from now, that person will realize that you had their best interest at heart.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, and that's with anything drugs, alcohol, addiction. It's really anything. You don't want your friends to get stuck into a bad place.
No,
So,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's like our one aunt that I stopped talking
aunt?
to.
Huh? I'm just kidding.
Which aunt?
There's multiple that have issues.
Keep guessing.
Exactly.
But there is one aunt that I do not speak to. And it's just because it's too unhealthy. And it does nothing for me except cause negative, toxic situations that I do not need. It's the same with friends. If you have a friend like that, that's just making your world a frickin' mess. You aren't friends with them anymore. And you could do the same with family. I know everybody's like, oh, blood's thicker than water, they're family, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't excuse their actions.
Well, then I wouldn't have any family left. Because I think at one point or another, a family member has crossed the line around like asshole. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because nobody is perfect.
Oh, of course not.
So I believe that there are even, and also with friends, that there are like leeways. Hopefully, if they did put you in an unhealthy or dangerous situation, that they get help and that it'll be better. For instance, my uncle on my father's side has always had a problem with alcohol. And, he's never gotten over it. I don't know how hard he's really tried. And I honestly think, though, that nobody has said, hey, you need to go to rehab. This is bad. Everybody pretty much enables him. I mean, they let him stay at family members' houses and stuff like that. And now he's like living at his ex-wife's house, which that's a weird situation.
That is weird.
Definitely would not want like an alcoholic ex staying at your house. How weird is that? But yeah, like I think there's a little bit of leeway. It's definitely not necessarily this person was mean to me, I'm never going to be their friend again.
Oh no, I'm not talking like that. I'm talking like repeat behavior that doesn't change.
Have any of our family members ever changed though? No.
I think our family has a lot of good intentions, but this particular aunt beyond crossed the line and then refused to apologize for it. Then blamed me for it. And that's not
okay.
That's not okay. At least other family members, even though they're kind of all over the place, most of the time they have good intentions.
And honestly, though, a lot of our family members have changed and evolved over time. Our aunts are not crazy as they once were in our childhood.
Yeah, everybody.
They've all have calmed down with age is all I gotta say.
Yeah, well, everybody changes and evolves. You're not the same person you were when you were 18. You're not the same person you were when you were 30. It just you keep changing and evolving because you kind of have to, basically.
Pretty much.
But yeah, the main point we were making there is obviously if people are causing you more harm than good, friends, family, or otherwise,
if you see them making a mistake, you can say something. You don't have to toe the line like I was saying previously, because I am a real believer in, okay, I don't believe in what you're doing, but I still support you and I'll listen to you anyway. I'm going to give you the truth of how I feel about your boyfriend or your clothing. If a top doesn't look good on you, I'm just going to say so. But either way, I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm still going to say, but if you want it, that's fine. If you want that X, go for it. If you want to make bad decisions, drink all the time, that's fine. It's not my life. But if it gets to a dangerous, unhealthy point, you're supposed to say something because that's what true friendship should be about.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. As a true friend, you should be able to tell your friends anything and everything, especially when they're at that struggling point in their life. Where do I go in my career? What do I do in my love life? Mm-hmm. I have a friend right now that I think feels very well, I think she's figured it out now, but I think she was kind of stuck at first because she fell in love with a guy from another country. And, that becomes a very hard situation because, well, I fell in love. Do I move and leave everything behind and start over? Is it worth it? Or do I stay here with my family and my friends and try again? And I pretty much told her the same thing. I will support you whatever you do. If your heart is telling you to go, then you go. Like, you can find another job. That's not the end of the world. There's Skype, there's FaceTime, there's all these wonderful things. If this is your true love, you go for it.
What did she end up doing?
She's moving. She hasn't yet, but she's
Really?
moving. Yeah.
Nice.
It's exciting. I'm really excited for her.
Very nice.
I hope she's listening. Love you.
Hopefully she's not mad that you put her on her podcast.
Well, I didn't say any names. I didn't even say the country, so
you're all good.
I'm being very secretive. I'm watching myself today. No name dropping.
Yay! Well, we're trying anyway. We're only in the beginning here. Let's face it.
That's true.
That's true. I mean, normally it's much quicker than that. And then if, we did mess up earlier on, then Tom will let me know when he's writing down more of his notes, right?
Tom and his notes.
Yes. He'll be infamous for them.
We're going to call him Trusty Tom.
I mean, it's pretty accurate, so, And I have to be able to distinguish all the Toms in my life. There's him. There's his dad. I don't know. I think his grandfather's name is Tom. I never met him, though.
That's a lot of Toms.
And I work with the Tom.
Too many Toms.
Pretty much. So we can call him Trusty Tom.
Okay.
I call him Tommy. I go between Tom, Tommy. We've already discussed this. Moving on.
All right. So the next thing that actually Connie and I were talking about last night, I think it was last night or was it the night before? Whatever. We were talking about it recently, is how certain friends always assume because you're doing so well, you're doing okay, that you don't need support, and they're never, they don't ask you like, hey, are you really doing okay? Even if you seem like you're okay.
Yeah. And that was really more of the fact that I had a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of parties, a lot of coordination of things to do, things to make, baby showers, bridal showers, that kind of deal. And so everybody, since my wedding, I swear to God, everybody has been wanting to be like, oh, can you make a centerpiece? Can you do this for us? Can you do that? Even my mom was literally just asking me to do flowers for her. Anyway, instead of asking me, oh, do you need any help? She just assumed, no, she has it all. She's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, it's fine. So I'm going to go and do my own shit, my own parties. Like, I don't particularly, I'm not going to ask you anymore if you need help because I don't care. I have my own shit going on. And when she told me this, I thought in my head, I didn't tell her. I was like, you never really asked. You never asked if I needed help.
Yeah.
You assumed because I'm a pretty capable person that I had it all under control, which, I mean, I did, but it takes a lot of time. If, somebody's there to help you get things done for whatever you need to get done, mm-hmm. It goes faster. You have time to do other things. You can hang out with other people, hang out with friends, whatever, instead of having to then dedicate your day to making flowers, doing whatever. It was a year of just parties that we had going on. So it was bouncing from one event to the next and helping people throw each event. And that's a lot to do. And then you're just going to assume that I'm okay. Oh yeah, you're fine. You got it. It's okay.
Yeah. And I don't know about you. I feel like I have at least one certain friend that no matter what can tell. Like, hey, what's going on? They can just tell by your face or whatever it is. So you do have that one friend at least that is something's going on. What is it?
And that's also to deal with, to me, how much communication I have with the person. I have a couple of friends that I'm always talking to them. So then if I'm not, I'm always texting them or we're always at least chatting, seeing how everything's going. So they could know right off the bat. If I wasn't talking, even just sending a funny meme or something, they would definitely be able to tell within an instant.
Absolutely. Sure. Or if they don't respond. I know I have a certain friend that if I text her and she doesn't say anything for a day or two, something's going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, because I'm kind of like that as well. Yeah, if I have a lot of shit going on and I'm just not answering my phone, stuff is definitely happening.
I think people assume a lot with me too. Oh, she's a military wife. She's used to her husband being gone and having to do this and that and the other thing. And secretly, my hair's on fire. Somebody check on me.
Yeah, because if not, I'm just not answering my phone because I got a lot of other things going on. And then sometimes you just need the break too from technology. Sometimes I'm just going to put my phone. Saturdays a lot of times I'm okay, putting down the phone for the rest of the night to be with my husband and watch movies and not be on the phone because how much are you really paying attention to if you're always constantly on the phone. So so you're not necessarily incommunicado because of something bad was taking a break.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why I usually say like a day or two. There are days, of course, where everybody's like, I don't feel like being on my phone today. I'm
No,
just going to unplug and go to the beach or go read or go to the library or whatever your forte is.
I know. I wish I could be at your beaches.
Hawaii's got the best beaches.
Maybe one day.
One day.
When I find that money tree, I'm
come
looking for it. Can anybody help me?
You could come see a Honu.
Exactly. Do all those crazy climbs.
Yeah. I love hiking is the best. The hiking here is unreal.
Have you made like a lot of friends doing all those like different hikes and stuff? Because like it seems like you do.
I
like
do.
That you're like always going out with like new like different friends or whatever hiking. It seems like a great way to hang out with people or at least meet new people.
Well, actually, too, I run a hiking group. It's called Military Wild, and it's actually it was founded by, gosh, is there 3 of them or 4 of them? I think it's 3 of them. 3 fellow military wives, and it was founded in Guam. And it's now got 9 chapters, and Oahu is one of the chapters. So I run the chapter here in Oahu. So that's how I always end up with new people and meeting new people. And it's great because it forces people from the military community to get out and not only meet new people, but to experience new things. So it's a great way, since we do move so much and things happen. And, you know, it can be scary to get out there when you're in a new place and you don't know anybody. It kind of makes it easier for people to come out and make new friends. And
I'm having a heart attack just listening to it. Like, oh God, meeting new people, going out and seeing new things. What is going on? Or at least the meeting new people. I'm fine with going out and seeing new things, but making friends, I don't know.
It's very intimidating. So that was one of their goals when they created Military Wild, was to get people not only to come together as a group and meet other friends, but also to get out and explore your new duty station.
Be supported.
And be supportive. Exactly. It's a great way to be supportive. It's great. I'm so glad I get to become a part of it. And they're going to be super glad that I just plugged them on our podcast. I'm going to have to tell them later.
Any of those sponsors out there? Come on. Hey-o.
They're a non-for-profit, which is also awesome. And it's been really super supportive. The people that I've met who come out are really supportive. One of the girls that I met, she's so great about checking on me and making sure that I'm okay. And not in an annoying way like we talked about last week. She's not like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I'll just occasionally get a message. Hey, just checking in. Do you want me to take Jackson this weekend? He could come hang out for like an hour so you can do, you know, XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, friends out there, that's a great thing to do. Not even just for military people, but anybody in your life. If you haven't heard from them or you just know that they're having a hard time, you could send your friend a quick text message or even call them. Don't be afraid to call. I know it's
scary.
I know it's old school.
Millennials are all scared about it.
I know. I like talking on the phone. But don't be afraid to call them up or text them and say, hey, I know you're kind of having a hard time right now. Can I do something? Can I come pick you up? Let's go to a movie. Let's go to dinner. Whatever.
I was actually trying to convince a couple of friends of mine and Tom's to go to Vegas with us, because you know how we're going in August for a family member's birthday. I was like, guys, come to Vegas with us. And she even like turned around to her husband, which is Tom's buddy. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Vegas with Connie. He just doesn't like going places, and she wants to. So I just think it's the funniest thing. You guys can come. Like, it's no big deal. Like, it's Vegas. Vegas is there for anybody, you know, not just us.
Absolutely.
Like, why not?
Friends trips are well appreciated. Take friends trips.
Well, if you go with the right people. The right people matter.
Definitely go with the right people. If you go with the wrong person.
I don't know how these guys would be traveling, but I feel like we'd be fine. I really like hanging out with them, so I don't see what the problem would be.
And just meet them there. You know, don't be on the airplane together.
Well, that's kind of how it would be, because we have a few family things to do, but like they could come hang out at the pools with us. We could go different places with them. Like it would be like a little bit of like split, a little both.
There you go. You know? Go to a show.
Well, I do want to go to a show. I just have to look up the right show.
Go to the zombie burlesque.
Oh, they have a zombie burlesque? I'll have to look that one up.
It's fantastic.
Nice. I didn't know you went to Vegas. Oh, yeah, duh.
I did. I went for my 30th birthday, and then I went for our aunt's thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we had a ball there also, so I've actually been 3 times. But I didn't
Okay.
go for the first time until my 30th.
There was another one called Absinthe, which is supposed to be like funny, but like also like raunchy or whatever. And I'd be down. We'll see.
Oh, the zombie burlesque show is fantastic, and it's not that expensive. I think we got a Groupon for it when we went.
That was another thing my girlfriend said was go look on Groupon. Like you can do a bunch of like hilarious, like awesome shit in Vegas on Groupon for like not too much. I do like Groupon. So Groupon sponsor.
Yep. There you go. Groupon be our sponsor. What else did we? Oh, we also saw Penn and Teller, which they were awesome too.
Yeah, I heard about Penn and Teller. I didn't want to go again because if it's a lot of the same family members, I don't think they're gonna want to go see the same show again.
Yeah, I know Grandma went last time and some of the other ones, so yeah.
I think almost everyone there went, I thought.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, they've been at the Rio for like 40 years. So there you go, friends. Go take your friends to Vegas and have a good time.
Yeah. It's another way to be supportive.
or if you're not a Vegas person, which I honestly am not very much of a Vegas person. It was like a good one-time thing for me, but I'll probably never go back. I mean, obviously I've been back a couple times, but not really by choice. But I'd rather go skiing in Colorado so whatever your jam is, pack up your girls.
I'll literally go anywhere. Like
pack up your girls or your boys and go.
Your boys.
Take a boys trip, take a girls trip.
Oh, for sure. Actually, we already talked about that. Never mind. I was going to say, like, no, we're not inviting you to a girls' trip because you're married. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? But okay. Fine. I don't want to go anywhere with you guys anyway. And that's when you have toxic friends. I mean, they weren't particularly, but it could have escalated to be like a toxic friendship. Like, seriously, you don't want me hanging around? Then why are we even friends?
Right. Exactly. I mean, me being married has nothing to do with it. I can leave my husband for 3 or 4 days and go on a girls' trip. But sure, whatever you got to tell yourself to not invite me.
Yeah. It's like, what then? Are we really friends? I mean, though they were doing a 2-week girls' trip.
Well, still, you can be without your husband for 2 weeks.
Well, I don't think he would want me to be without my husband for 2 weeks.
Well, it's not all about him.
But no, I was just like, I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. And I know that they didn't really do it with like bad intentions. They weren't trying to be quote unquote toxic or like a bad friends. They were just like, well, we didn't think you were going to have the money for it. And I was like, no, you're right. I really don't have the money for it because this year, like they just knew me so well that they knew I wasn't going to be going because they knew that my whole objective of this year is to pay down debt. Mm-hmm. And so when you're trying to pay off all of your debt, do you have, room for a trip? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Trips are a luxury, not when you're trying to pay shit off. So, but there are plenty of quote unquote toxic friendships though, I believe.
Yeah, there are. But that also kind of plays into our next thing too, where Connie gave me a good example the other night of a friend asking for relationship advice and being able to give good, honest advice in a relationship, or I mean, really in any situation. Doesn't even just have to be relationships, but hers the other day was relationship related.
Yeah, pretty much. My friend hasn't gotten over an ex. And it all started out when we were at a bar. The ex showed up. We didn't think he would be at this particular bar. And he was there. So it got all of her emotions going, stuff like that. And she was still hung up on it. That was on Friday night. She was still hung up on this on Sunday. So Sunday we were talking about it. And I told her, well, see if he replies this week or like messages you this week. And if he does, fine, message him back or figure out what you want. Like if you want to take him back or whatever. And then if he doesn't, let it go. Really figure out a way. Like stop thinking about it because he's not the only guy. And you've only really given me one reason for why you want to be with him. And that was, well, I miss cuddling with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
he's not the only person to cuddle with. There are plenty of
Mm-hmm.
other guys out in that sea over there. So you'll be fine. Especially considering she keeps on like she definitely now has a type because every time it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see this guy. Oh, what does he look like? The same. He looks the same as your ex. That is weird. How do you keep on finding these people that look?
That is kind of weird.
Yes, that look exactly like your ex is wow to me.
Well, and
But
there's one quote that I always remember. I started off following him on Instagram, and then I ended up reading his book. He's called The Angry Therapist, and he talks about relationships a lot. And one of his things that he says to people is you need to stop playing the highlight reel and actually look at it as a documentary and not a highlight. So instead of just pulling out, like you said, I like cuddling with this person, you're only remembering one highlight that was good from the relationship and you're leaving out everything else. You
yeah,
can't.
you're leaving out the fact that he pretty much ignored you for like 2 months straight and rarely texted you.
Right, exactly. So you can't just play the highlight reel and remember the good moments and be like, oh, I wish I was back there. Instead, you have to play the documentary, remember it for what it was, appreciate it for what it was, and then
Move on. Yeah. And she's just having a tough time. And honestly, and then my whole thing was, but you can also do so much better. She's a pretty girl. You should
Mm-hmm.
have no problems finding another boyfriend. And up until this guy, you've been crazy picky. So I think you'll be able to find somebody else. It's not like you're like a hopeless case and this is the one person who's ever going to love you.
Right.
And actually, what's even funnier about this whole thing, she was like, well, I told you this when you broke up with Tom. And I was like, I broke up with Tom for a week.
A little different.
I wasn't broken up with him for 2 months. I broke up with him. I realized I was breaking up with him for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I got back together with him.
Well, and that's also totally different. Your relationship and her relationship can't even be
Yes.
compared. They're totally, totally different things.
Especially since now I'm married.
Right. And I mean, it's totally normal, of course, to mourn over a relationship and to feel those sad feelings and to need time to heal. But you can't just focus on the highlight reel and act like you're missing out on all these amazing things when you're stopping yourself from experiencing new amazing things.
Yeah, and when every time you think about it, when the breakup process was happening, you were depressed.
Mm-hmm.
He made you feel that low. Like you don't want to feel that low all the time. You want that again? Move along, buddy.
And I mean, obviously, Kyle and I had a very back and forth relationship, but we started dating when we were 17, 18 years old. And
so it's kind of expected.
Kind of, yeah. You know, we were young and dumb and we were still learning. And I hoped that I would marry him someday, but you never know. And I still moved on with my life. And when he randomly popped back up, we were new people. We were different people. We had aged. We had grown, which we needed to do to be able to come to where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
So not saying to people out there that it's impossible for you to come back to something
each other. Mm-hmm.
After you learn and grow. It is possible. It is possible to recover from certain things, but you can't do that when you're stuck in the past.
Oh, you have to for sure, because you have to learn and grow. And it would be what is missing is they need to like grow as people.
Yeah, she needs to learn from the experience and grow. And if they come back together later, fabulous. But right now, she needs to take the time to mourn whatever she needs to do to move on and stop playing the highlight reel.
Yeah. That's why I told him, like, give it a week. If he doesn't come back, then clearly it's not meant to be. At least it's not meant to be right now. Yeah. And she said, yeah, that's what I'll do. So she did listen to me for, because I was being semi-supportive. And I was also being like, come on, you're so much better looking than him. You could get literally any other guy. Are you for real stuck up on this? And then she's like, but I miss his cuddles. And I'd be like, why? But why though?
Send her John Kim's book. Send her the Angry Therapist book. It's called I Used to Be Your Miserable Fuck.
I like it. That's hilarious.
It's a great book.
Great. Maybe I'll have to read that too.
It's technically called like a man's guide, but it definitely applies to everybody.
interesting.
I found it was a great read. I really enjoyed it. He even has a chapter on not peeing in the shower, but it's not what you think it is. It's a metaphor.
Gross. Actually, I took a BuzzFeed quiz, and it was like,
Oh, God.
how clean are you?
Oh, God.
And some of the shit in there, I was, do people really do that? That's gross. It was like keeping socks on for over 24 hours, like not changing out of your socks.
Ew.
Like, I was like, that's
Socks
gross.
are the worst.
I was like, who's putting their socks back on? Who is just staying in their socks, not changing, taking them off and putting them back on? Why? Either way.
My kid
And
probably
then the other one was peeing in the shower. I was like, gross.
My kid probably would put his socks back on.
Well, that's a kid. But I was like, what grown adult? No adult should be putting their socks back on.
There are people that do those things.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who do a lot of weird things, and that's why we have this podcast. Because we're weird people who do weird things. Just kidding. This is not weird.
Yeah, and I just cleaned my house today. And who was I talking? I was talking to my buddy, and he's like, let me see what clean looks like for you. And I was like, okay. And I sent him a picture of, I think it was my bathroom. And he was like, holy shit, my bathroom would never look like that. And I'm like, okay, well, when you get home, I want to see what your bathroom looks like.
Gross. I'm sure.
I would die in his house. Die, yes.
You should have seen the bathroom that I was living in when the few months I was living with Tom at his mother's house, because the boys were in charge of cleaning the bathroom. You want to know how much often that was cleaned? Never. The only time it was cleaned, when I cleaned it for them. Oh, even funnier though is that now, and I believe it's honestly because of the remodel, Tom takes really good care of like the kitchen and the bathroom because he installed everything. And he doesn't want to fix anything or for anything to be broken down before we sell. So he's like, oh, this is just not clean enough. Let me clean it harder. I'm like, where was this when we were living at your mom's house? You never cleaned. I was always the one cleaning, and it was gross.
See, I married the right man for me, for sure. Kyle is very neat. Very, very neat. And I'm very
thankful. He's neat now. I just don't know why he wasn't neat at his mom's house. I don't know. I think he was still a little bit more of a child back then and expected his mom to clean up after him is honestly probably the truth.
Maybe just because it was his mom's house, so the stigma was just still there, like, oh, mom will clean up after me because it's mom's house.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And then if not mom, live-in girlfriend will.
Yeah.
So...
Oh God, I don't know how people live like that. I remember going to your brother's apartment once, and like the dog hair made me want to vomit. The amount of dog hair that was just.
I don't think that's improved.
Ugh, I can't. I have a dog, obviously. I love dogs, but you can vacuum at least once a week. It doesn't take much effort to push a vacuum, and nowadays there are robot vacuums.
Oh, yeah. See, now Luke has a robot vacuum, so maybe it's
all you have to do is push a button. And it's not perfect, but it's better than not vacuuming ever and dog hair just becoming 4 inches thick.
Gross. Ugh. Oh, my God. No, now me and Tom, because we just got a brand new vacuum for Christmas, we are vacuuming literally every other day, every few days, because vacuum.
Vacuum, yeah. Anyway... We're off topic, but it took us 43 minutes to be off topic.
Well, no. I can bring this back.
Oh, okay. I'm excited to see this.
All right.
I'm ready.
So, even when you're supporting your friends, it can still be something as simple as, hey, you need to vacuum, like either letting them know or saying, hey, I'll come over and vacuum or something because, like, we need to get this place up in, like, to shape because it is not. Or even just saying, no, you definitely need to vacuum. Because I've actually had a friend say, oh, do you think it's dirty? And I'll be like, either yes or no. Like, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've had friends ask me because she has a couple cats. So she's like, oh, like, I don't really think that this is that clean. I was like, no, it's not too bad. Their house never smells like cat. So I'm like, good for you because they have 3-4 cats.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so you know that's a lot of upkeep. So she's really conscious about it.
Good.
And she actually does ask. But sometimes that's what friends are for, and like just being a good supportive friend is mentioning like, yeah, no, it does kind of need to be cleaned in here or not.
It's like those Febreze commercials
Yes,
where they
I
become
am a Febreze commercial.
the nose blind commercials.
Yeah.
Your friend has become nose blind. I actually had a friend in college. I think she battled depression. I don't know if since then she's been diagnosed, but I literally would have to go over there and pull the blinds open, get her out of bed because she'd been in bed for like 2 or 3 days, and be like, all right, we're going to class. You got an hour. Shower.
Did she graduate? Because I just can't imagine
No.
being able to graduate class if you can't get out of bed and you can't go to class.
No, I tried. I tried to be that person, but I would literally go over there, open the shades, you shower, I'll make you something to eat, and then I would, vacuum or sweep or do the dishes. And I'm like, okay,
See,
it's been
a good friend.
I try, man.
We all try.
I try, but sometimes that's in certain situations that's the drastic step you have to take. Hey, I'm pulling these shades open, and I know my friend did it for me. Actually, I think the first time Kyle and I broke up, because I was, you get sad, and everybody gets sad sometimes, and she literally had to do the same thing to me. She'd come over and open the drapes and go, okay, we're going out tonight. I don't care if you want to or not, but we're freaking going, and you have an hour, get dressed, we're going.
Yep. And also, on that note of that, sometimes friendship and being supportive can be much simpler. It's another reason why I have like a group chat with a couple of my girlfriends, because it's like, hey, does this top look good? What do you think? And then even just went and tried out a tea place that opened up. And we're like, wait, what date do you want to go? That kind of thing. So we
and
all
like me with you the other day when I sent you the comforters. Like, hey, which color do you like? The duvet.
Did you get the teal one? Because I definitely liked the teal one.
Yeah, it's like a teal light blue, but yes, that's the one I ordered. We'll see what color it actually is when it gets here. But yes, that's the one I ordered.
I can't wait to see it. I'm always interested.
Simple things. Hey, which color should I get?
Well, even just being interested in what another person is doing, like showing interest, like I'm interested in the duvet cover, like, oh, what'd you get? I want to see what it looks like. Yeah. Even that can be supportive, because maybe somebody feels like I don't have anybody to talk to. And nobody cares. Like, you don't want anybody to think, oh, I don't have anybody that cares about me.
Absolutely. And
because then that brings you back to like our second or third episode of depression. So we're just bringing it all back today. We're bringing it all back. We're looping this all together, my friend.
It all connects. And something else, I think I read a lot, so all my books kind of run together. I think John Kabat-Zinn said it. A lot of times, instead of listening to just listen, we listen to respond. And I try to tell myself on a regular basis, just sit here and listen. Don't think about what you want to say. Just listen, because it does make a difference when you're actually listening versus listening to respond.
Yeah, actually, my friend was really upset with that, kind of. Not with me, but with another friend. She's like, well, I already knew how she was going to respond, and I already knew that my friend, that I wouldn't like what her response was, so I didn't message her. Because I knew what her response was going to be. And it was going to be, oh, I was in the same situation and here's how I handled it. And that's not what my friend was looking for. She was looking for, I just want to vent and somebody to listen. And so she actually ended up like messaging me. Like, she didn't call or anything. Like, sometimes she does. If she gets really frustrated, she'll call. But sometimes you just want somebody to listen to your problems, not necessarily respond. And actually, Tom was telling me that the other day.
Yeah, well, you just have to. I think it's very natural for us that when you are listening to somebody, as they say stuff, you're thinking about how you want to respond. You said whatever you might have said. I'm thinking, oh, okay, I want to go on to this next, instead of just listening, which is very natural to us. So I try to, on a daily basis, okay, stop thinking about what you want to say and just listen.
Yeah. Well, and Tom actually thinks that it's also a personality trait, because he says that there's a guy at work, and he comes in because he knows that Tom and I have both been trying to like lose weight. We cut out carbs, etc. we occasionally do the keto, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding. And so this guy just wanted to like chat about what he's doing. And
Mm-hmm.
like Tom realized very early on, he doesn't really want feedback.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to tell you, oh, this is what I've been eating, this is what I've been doing, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to you, because in Tom's mind, he knows that it's not really like what the guy's eating isn't really all that healthy. It's not going to get you as far as you would want for weight loss, because it's like you're still eating a boatload of food and carbs and stuff. Like he still has like chips and like all the crap food for you. Like if you still have that stuff in your house, like you're still going to eat it. Like he had like weird justifications. Oh, well, I had a really good breakfast and lunch, so now I'll eat like crap. And it's like, that's not really going to balance out, but
and it's not even necessarily people that don't want you to respond. It's just in general, not you're distracted when you're thinking about how you want to respond instead of just listening.
And then you can think of a response later.
Yeah, or just listen, and then if they might even follow up with a question like, hey, what did you think? Or hey, what should I do? And then you can go, okay. And you could probably even give a more insightful answer because you heard everything they said instead of focusing on what you wanted to say back.
And not even necessarily focusing on what you wanted to say back, but focusing on you instead. Because I've caught myself before thinking, oh, I went through something similar, and I'll share that, and then we can talk about me.
Yes.
Like I've thought about that before with conversations with friends.
What Tom was thinking, oh, well, this guy really doesn't know what he's talking about, instead of just letting him do his thing.
No, that's what Tom does now. He just lets him talk. Like in his mind, he's like, that's not really, but okay. Yeah. He just kind of sits there and listens. He's like, all right, that's it. That's fine. I actually used to have and I don't know how that this memory has like stuck with me for so long, because I was probably in 4th or 5th grade maybe, so pretty young, not like crazy young, but pretty young. And I actually had a mom of a friend walk up to me, and not necessarily like walk up to me like she was gunning for me or something, but I was talking to her daughter, and she said, some people have friends that are listeners, and some friends are your talkers, and you're a talker. Mm-hmm. Because her daughter was very, very quiet. She rarely said a word. Mm-hmm. And I'm me, so I'm just chatting away. But I always thought that was kind of interesting, so I try to balance myself out a little bit. Mm-hmm. I do too. We're talking, so.
yeah. This is the one exception. Main points, I guess, were just be supportive in most situations, right? Right?
Oh, always. Be supportive, but let them know. Let them know how you really feel.
And don't let them harm themselves. Don't let your friend be an alcoholic for 10 years before you say something.
Only give it 1 year. I'm just kidding. What is that cutoff date again?
Checking on even your strongest friends, even if they seem that they are okay, they might not be. So just shoot them a text or an email or a phone call, or go knock on their door. Don't be afraid.
You never know.
Cutting out the toxic friends that you don't need. And we're talking like super toxic, not just one that blew you off for a lunch date. Try to not let your friends date douchebags.
Well, yeah. But what can you do? And just try to listen.
Be candid.
Mm-hmm. Be not like us. I was going to say, be like us. I was like, I don't know. That might be too honest for some people. Actually,
no, don't be like us.
Well, that's why I was called. I realized that's why I was called not aggressive. What did I message you saying? Like, it wasn't aggressive.
Oh, intimidating.
Oh, am I intimidating? And really, basically, what it came down to is that I'm loud and unapologetic about it. I am just totally me, and I don't particularly care if you like it or not. I'm just me.
What I would call that would not be intimidating. It would be called no filter.
Hashtag no filter.
There you go. No filter. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Rietta.
I'm Connie.
And thank you for listening.